Nice.
Classic time.
I think we need a little more volume on that music.
A little more volume.
There it is. As I'm spitting all over the mic over here.
I like to feel the little flutter of the bass in my...
Yeah. Greg, you like that beat?
Oh, yeah.
Greg's like, that'll work.
I think you should show off the suit there.
Oh, yeah. We got a little Peaky Blinders
Shoot
shoot.
the 3-piece.
All of our listeners out there, you don't know, but it's a 3-piece. I'm looking like Thomas Shelby out of Peaky Blinders over here.
Super good. Welcome to the podcast, guys. All together as usual. You're listening to MLO. We brought in a couple good guests today. Everybody knows our main man, T. Ross.
Yes,
Tyler, say hi to the peeps.
Hello, how's everyone doing? Good?
Great.
And good to see all y'all.
His counterpart, too, Greg Beery.
Special guest.
Special guest.
Very special.
So both of our guests today are from Payne West Insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And to transition as delicately as I can, right, with that music. Our country's been through some incredible stuff this year, right, Kempers?
Mm-hmm.
And particularly as of late, at least on the West Coast where we're at,
Yes, sir.
tons and tons of fires, natural disasters.
Some devastating stuff.
And I know, like, we did a recent episode that was fantastic with Tyler just a few weeks ago, but we wanted to bring it all together once again and focus on how your insurance is impacted with natural disasters, as well as bring in Greg today. Greg is a senior claims specialist with Payne West Insurance, same company as Tyler.
Yep.
So we want to just talk about 3 main points covering how to handle the natural disaster, how this impacts your home if you've been impacted in processing claims, right, guys?
Yeah.
Not topic on hand, right, guys? I mean, today was the first day we saw, at least here in the Pacific Northwest, some air clear out because we got some rain finally, some desperately needed rain. I mean, we've been in a bad situation for, a week and a half. And I know a lot of listeners out there and a lot of our viewers probably have questions about insurance. And we just thought it would be a great topic to get off the table and kind of expose, some answers and questions for you guys.
Yeah. And I think, T. Ross, maybe you could intro us and hand to Greg too and get the conversation going of really give some insight to everyone on how the insurance industry, just the environment for you guys. Because I know just with mortgage, like, we're busy, obviously we have a stressful job, but I couldn't imagine the phone calls that you and Greg are managing right now. So tell us a little bit.
Oh yeah, we all last week and even this week we've been getting calls about people asking if their home's insured, because a lot of people don't know.
Right.
I had one client that called me and he thought that, wildfires were a natural disaster and he just lost his home. And once I told him, like, hey, no, you do have coverage. And he just broke down in tears.
Oh,
said a
wow.
couple of explicits. He was cheering with his wife. And it's a big deal because people sometimes they don't know.
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, yeah. And so it was nice. I mean, our company really went out and we had agents and service and even claims call our clients just to check in with them. And that's huge because from what we were hearing, a lot of people call their insurance, but we want to take that action to call them. And so having Greg is just an absolute lifesaver just because he's someone that's on your side. That's what we preach about every time I'm on here is we represent our clients no matter what carrier we put with them. And so Greg does the same thing in terms of claims. When there's a claim that comes up, he represents them and helps them and walks them through. And I can't tell you how many of my clients who have called him and had conversations with him and be like, I'm so happy I talked with them because it's nice to have someone break it down to me and tell me what these things mean or tell me what I should say. So it's so huge.
And we've got Greg here patching in remote for us. And Greg, thanks again. Thank you so much for taking the time. Like, we truly do appreciate it. Could you elaborate a little bit, just your current environment and what phone calls and is the stress level? Just let us into your world a little bit as we
let us into the world.
Yeah, we want to know.
Sure. Well, and thanks for having me. It's certainly been a very busy week, but I've, no complaints here. There's so many people that have been impacted, have lost everything. So for us, being a little extra busy, is nothing compared to that. And having some smoke around here, I'm no complaints about that at all. We, like Tyler said, we're an independent agency, so we help our clients find the right fit and the best fit amongst a lot of different insurance companies. So we have a lot of different carrier partners that we're working with. We really found the response to be very good so far. the insurance companies have been successful in making contact with folks. That can be a challenge just in and of itself, right? People are out of their homes, someplace, but for the vast majority of our clients, the insurance company's been in touch with them. They've gotten some advances out against personal property, so they're getting some checks issued or funds deposited for them. They're working on finding housing options, short-term and long-term, while the fires are still going on. So we're seeing great response, and our clients are being pretty well taken care of. Yeah. Our agency, our staff, like you said, Tyler, have reached out and tried to make contact with everybody in the area just to see, who is affected, how, what can we do to help them, insurance-wise or otherwise.
Mm-hmm. So, Greg, give me a little insight and an example, or even a story of what it's like when you're impacted. Like, we can use the fires as an example. Like, say your home did catch on fire. Are they calling you a week after, right away? What is that process like to get the correspondence going?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, as soon as we know, as the agency, we're notifying the insurance company so they can begin the process, and that happens as soon as we know about it. Clients can contact their insurance company directly as well. So as soon as that call is made to say, hey, we've suffered a loss, we've lost the home, we think we've lost the home, then the insurance company is going to get things going. They'll get it in the hands of somebody to reach out and gather facts, make initial contact, then get it in the hands of an adjuster who's going to be the person they'll work with, going forward throughout the claim.
Oh, wow.
Got it.
Are people actually going out and inspecting the house? Because I can't even imagine, like, if it's in a fire zone, how are we communicating? How are people getting access to financial support until they are reestablished in their home? How does that process work?
Yeah, that can be a bit of a challenge because fires are still going on. There's areas that people can't get back into yet. They're not allowed to, and they've had to go somewhere. They're staying with friends or family or a shelter or something. But the insurance companies are, they're trying to find creative ways to get money out. We're helping with that as much as we can. We've had insurance company staff in our local offices. We're helping, if we're hearing from a client and we get additional contact information, we know where they're at, we're passing that on to the insurance company so they can track them down and get in touch with them. But it can be tough, yeah, especially early on in a large fire situation like we got.
Wow, man.
Coming back to it, Greg. So the best step then for that homeowner that might be impacted or is impacted is just get a hold of their insurance agent right out of the gate if they think, their house has burned down or they're not sure, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a few very fortunate folks who thought their house was gone and learned that it wasn't. But, in that case, the claim can just be, closed, or there may be smoke or some other damage that still needs to be taken care of. But certainly folks that have been evacuated, that are under a mandatory evacuation, they should be contacting their homeowner's insurance company or their agent. There's some coverage under most policies for additional living expenses in that situation.
Yeah,
so
really?
At the very least, they have that.
Yeah. A lot of people were calling about, hey, I just got evacuated. I have to stay in a hotel, or I just,
how do you pay for it?
I just got done staying in an Airbnb. How does that work? And depending on the policy and what the policy language says, like there's coverage there, there's all different types of things, but loss of use, making sure their home was covered. Those were the two biggest talking points when people called us over the phone. Yeah.
Yeah. Huge nugget, right? I bet most people don't think that, there might be any coverage there. They might be putting that stuff on a credit card or something. You have no idea, right?
And this probably brings up a great point of having a local agent and an advisor, because you have that person that you can contact, having that human ability to, speak to someone about a very trying time for you. It's probably very important. So I just want to throw that out too.
So is that coverage for additional allowance, if you will, to, be housed somewhere temporarily? Is that an add-on? How does all that work? Like, did I select that on mine? Do I need to,
Yeah. And Greg And Greg could touch on this, and I'll just say, first off, I think it all depends on the policy that you have.
Mhm.
I mean, we have some carriers that they don't charge it your deductible to start that process. There's some that they have to pay their deductible before they could even get funds back for staying in a hotel. And then you have to have that conversation. Like, do you really want to put in a claim for, a $500 hotel stay? So he could actually touch on the actual language and what some companies say and what they don't. So
Nice.
Sure, yeah. So most homeowners policies, at least the ones we're familiar with, provide that coverage as part of the policy. If you have a sort of a normal claim and you can't live in the house because of it, it's paying for your extra living expenses then. They also give a little bit of coverage, or there's a section of that part of the policy that says, in the event of basically a mandatory evacuation, if access to your house is prohibited by authorities because of a loss that's covered, like a wildfire, it will pay your additional living expenses. So beyond your normal. So, obviously you're in a hotel, that's not a normal expense. Usually you cook most of your food and now you're having to eat out. That's an additional expense. If you're having to drive extra distance to get to work and where you're staying, that's an additional expense. Boarding pets could be. So just all those things could be payable under that part of your policy for something like this. There's usually most policies say it'll do it for 1 or 2 weeks. Depends on the policy, like Tyler said, but that's typically there.
So from what I'm hearing, and Greg, Tyler, chime in if I'm wrong, it sounds like the best thing you can do, and I'm sure it's so challenging when your life's being turned upside down, be proactive in communicating with your insurance company and be organized on documenting your expenses and any evidence that's followed suit so that you have a really solid foundation to present.
Yeah.
Am I explaining that with any sort of grace there?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, we could have multiple companies that we represent, and one of them, I mean, there's some that make it easier than others, but we have some who just upload a receipt and that's it. They do for loss of use. So with what happens is a lot of time, I think that conversation, like I had 2 or 3 clients that we had that loss of use conversation. Like, okay, you had to pay $600 to go in total to go live somewhere else. Do you want to make that type of claim? Or if someone had to pay their $1,000 deductible first, and they're kind of on that cusp of maybe they just had, $1,200 to go stay somewhere else. Okay, do you really want to put in this claim? So the interesting part is that whole aspect of having those conversations and having that. And I think that's what people want. And that's what people, because they're stressed, they're in a position to where they had to leave their house for a certain amount of time. They're in a position where they may not know if their house is going to be there when they get back. So just having real conversations and real expectations, that's all they really, strive for when you're having conversations with them.
During those times, I can imagine. Yeah.
Well, and like Casey Kempers and I were talking about this earlier, because obviously we're mortgage advisors, and maybe you could shed some clarity because it might be a rumor. But what a lot of people are talking about is, say, you're having a fire come toward your house and your policy ends, like you're up for renewal. How does that work? Because obviously the insurance company is going to look at the zone they're in, right? Yeah. Are they honoring a continuance of the policy? Is that something that you're
good question.
Out of luck?
Good question.
Yeah, definitely. I could touch on this part, and obviously, Greg, I think you'd answer that one. But as far as how it relates to you guys or what we've seen is, like, a lot of people were, like, for example, closing on a home. A lot of people were expected to close the next week or two. And there's a lot of insurance companies who put a moratorium that says, hey, for this amount of time, we're not, we're not going to bind. We're not going to bind coverage. And so that was really, really tough. And I'm sure it was tough for you guys because, I mean, it was really hard to find insurance when there's a moratorium. Some companies did it by zip code. Some of them did it by counties. Some companies did the whole state of Oregon. So it was definitely tough. But Greg could touch on the part because even at renewal, I mean, they're going to go up to your policy as soon as it, as long as there's place, they'll go up to it. So.
Yeah. So Greg, if out of coincidence, my annual policy is coming to an end and I'm approaching a natural disaster, how are insurance companies handling the choice of renewing that policy or not?
It's a bit out of my lane, but my understanding and experience here is that renewals generally are accepted. the companies will put what they call a moratorium or put the stop to writing new business when
Okay.
something's going on actively. But if you happen to be in that situation where your policy was renewing, 2 days after the fire, as long, as you pay the premium within the time period allowed by the policy, that policy should be renewed.
Yep.
Got
Yep.
it.
And the home policy is just usually renewed if it's paid through the mortgage for the
Right.
most part. they're
Automatic renewal.
Automatic. Now,
renewed,
do we know if any of those moratoriums are still in place, or like I like to say, the Mandalorians?
No, there a lot of them actually kind of uplifted. There's some that are like, hey, as long as you're not in an evacuation
Mhm.
situation, you can write in those areas.
Got it.
There's some that lifted like in Newburgh and those places, but like again, Salem can be that area. It's still touch and go. There's some companies just based off by zip code. They're just not wanting. It's not just because a lot of people will think, okay, well, the fires are kind of contained. They're kind of slowing down. Why is it still there? It's because they also look at what's going to happen in the next couple of days. What if wind starts to pick up and it takes the fire this way? So they really, like, for example, one company was saying that they need to have 100% contained before they lift the moratorium.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
wow.
so
Wow.
it's just, again, depends on the carrier. Yeah.
Got it. Great question, though.
Yeah, and I think, Greg, too, another one for you. What are some common mistakes you're seeing homeowners make when it comes to insurance, homeowners insurance specifically? The most recent episode with T. Ross, we were talking about cheap insurance and what are some of the consequences and risks to taking on that strategy or approach when isolating your complete overall insurance costs. Could you give us some insights, stories, shed a little color for us on things we
do
could
love
do to
story
be
time.
prepared? Any examples? Would love to hear your point of view.
Sure. Well, I think just to start in general, applicable probably to everybody, is just get familiar with your policy, read your policy, right? Understand or get at least a base level understanding of what it does and what it doesn't do and what it's supposed to do. It's really amazing how many folks we talk to that have never even read their policy, right? This is a critical thing that you're buying, protecting your assets, your life, your life livelihood, your ability to meet your life goals, and folks don't even know what it does in a lot of cases. So, just having an understanding, take a look at it, I think, to start. So then you can make good, informed decisions and make good choices. I'd say the next thing would be to, think about getting an advisor. Think about going to somebody like Tyler, who, it is what they do. It's our area of expertise. I could probably do my own taxes, but I go to a tax person to get them done.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Greg. I mean, yeah, you could do your own taxes, but
Right.
there's more qualified people that can help you and maybe even, do it better or save you some money, right? That local agency feel, I don't think there's anything like that out there. Same thing that we push for us as being local mortgage advisors, right? I mean, we thrive for people to call in for us. So, because honestly, I mean, for me personally, I don't know about these guys. I'm sure it's the same, but you feel good giving people the right information to make informed decisions later on, right? So, yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions out there, listeners and viewers, make sure you're calling your local agent. And if it's one of those agents that ain't answering, you call T. Ross.
There you go. There you go.
Find someone, find someone you're comfortable with, somebody that you trust. Whoever that is. You may have talked about this in the past. There's different types of agents. There's some agents work for one company or can only sell a product for one company. Independent agencies like Payne West, we work with and can sell products of many different insurance companies. So Tyler could sit down with somebody and take a look at, probably 4 or 5 different options for them.
Great point.
Talking through those things. Yeah. But I think the important thing is find someone that you can trust.
Yeah. And what are you seeing? What do you think the average homeowners face every single year? I know we're talking a little bit about fires, but I think homeowners would like to know, what is the average claim that you're seeing on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis?
Oh, geez. Then I think I'm not too sure nationally, the average, it's probably somewhere up around a couple $1,000s, which doesn't necessarily sound that, impressive. But if we think about the fire losses, right, especially for those that have lost their home and lost everything in a fire, I think even a modest home in policy, by the time they pay the structure, pay for all the personal property, pay for additional living expense, any other structures. By the time that's all said and done, even a modest claim is probably going to be $500,000.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And are you like, so are you seeing like throughout the years, because obviously we're talking about the fires part, but like, are you seeing like are water claims kind of an average claim, or ordinance and law claims are average claim, or what are some of like the big claims? Because when I talk to these guys and I talk to a lot of my clients, in the event that you have a total fire loss, like what's happening now, a lot of policies out there will take care of you. And obviously what's going on right now is super sad, and
Right.
hopefully people are getting taken care of. But when this isn't going on, what are the just the everyday homeowner claims that people face? Like, is it water losses? Is it ordinance
question.
losses? Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd say water losses are probably the most prevalent type of claim or loss, from plumbing leaks, appliance leaks, water intrusion through roofs, just a whole bunch of sources. There's a lot of places and ways water can get out and cause damage, and that's going to be probably the most common type of claim that our clients face.
Yeah, and this is the crazy part, is that's the one that I see with my clients all the time. It's the one that they're underinsured. A lot of them are.
On the water claim?
Oh yeah. Well,
Now-
not just water coverage in general.
In general? Now tell me this, for our listeners out there, they probably don't know the difference. Is there a difference between water claim and flood coverage and stuff like that? Can you guys elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, Greg, I'll let you take this one. I think this is up your alley.
Yeah, there is absolutely a difference. Flood losses are not covered under most homeowners insurance policies. It's a little broader than that. Surface water, water below the surface of the ground, water from natural sources. Typically, that's not covered. Homeowners policies don't intend to cover that exposure.
Got it.
A flood policy would give some coverage. That's probably a several-hour topic on its own. But
Right.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah. And I know CK had a question too. He wanted to roll in there.
Yeah, with our whole United States going through some kind of issues. We got some flooding, in Alabama, of course, the West Coast fires, high winds and everything else.
Hurricanes.
So are we going to see, the average homeowner policies go up for mass, you think? Or how's this going to be paid out, and how's it going to be accepted on a consumer level?
Well, so again, a bit out of my lane, but I think that most larger companies, in terms of impact on price, are going to be able to absorb big events like this. We've seen catastrophes increasing, especially over the last several years.
Right.
And like I said, that these fires are unprecedented in some areas. We've got, was it Sally that just dropped record levels of water?
Yeah, 35.
Flooding. Yeah, we've got. We're running out of names in the alphabet on hurricanes, right? You're gonna have to go to the Greek alphabet pretty soon. Yeah. The top 10 catastrophes have been. One was 9/11, so we take that out. One was the North, at least for the U.S. If we take out the Northridge earthquake, the other 8 were all hurricanes.
Right.
But big insurance companies, they can absorb it. I think there will be impacts for sure, and not maybe just in price. A lot of companies, already don't write business in certain parts of the country, or they limit what they will do. We're seeing in the Northwest, particularly in Montana, where we are, they're subject to hailstorms quite frequently, and we're seeing carriers that are putting specific wind and hail deductibles on policies, or reducing kind of how they pay or adjust a loss in the event of a hailstorm, for example. So they're always looking at, looking backward to see what's happened, how's that affected us, and then figure out, go forward, what do we need to do to stay solvent, and stay profitable, and to handle the claims that will be coming in. So COVID, laid over the top of this is going to cause some more significant challenges, or compounded problems, I would say.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, there you go.
so much premium has been returned, right? people weren't driving a lot, and auto carriers are sending money back. Workers' compensation, people weren't working. And again, premiums have been reduced and adjusted for that. So the companies don't have as much money coming in as they normally would either.
Gotcha.
Now we're going to have to pay out a lot on the other side of it. So, but, there could be impacts to rates. There could be reduction of what's available in terms of products in some places. There could be some smaller companies, might not make it through. That generally happens each year when there's a kind of localized event. That campfire down in California, I know there was one California only insurance company that went bankrupt over that.
I bet.
Or as a result of that, yeah.
I can't even
Big ones,
imagine.
I think, will be okay.
I can't even imagine being in California where it's just it's been an annual thing, right? We're up here in the Pacific Northwest and obviously impacted. I mean, a lot of my family had to be evacuated, and thank goodness everything's fine and okay. But since I do a ton of relocation business, people coming from California, they've become used to fire season. Yeah. I just can't even relate to that, being born and raised Oregon.
Or I mean, think about it too. Like, if you're in the Gulf, right? Just being used to all right, every 2.5 months, guys, we're gonna brace up for a hurricane. Like,
good point. Good
thing I got a giant sandbox for my kids in the backs, because that's where I just load up all the sandbags, right? No, I mean, that's something you can't fathom, obviously, until it happens. You go through it. So as we always say, our hearts and thoughts go out to anyone affected with natural disasters right now. I mean, if there's anything we can do to help you guys, please just reach out to call, even if it's just for someone to talk to.
Yeah, no, it's been great to see the community come together. A couple of examples, like there was a group of real estate agents that all came together and helped with the movement and transportation of livestock, which I thought was really cool and neat. And I don't think I'll forget in my career last week, I think it was like Tuesday at 3:00, it felt like all business just completely stopped. And the focus was helping families when those fires started and really upticked. But, take advantage of the Red Cross relief and a lot of programs out there. And I was just like, there's no shame in taking help, and we'll all get through this together. But as we
in our industry too, I mean, you saw some stories that we'd heard we saw like lenders going out to help their agent partners because they were affected in areas like, hey, I'll help you however I can, help you move your stuff, and vice versa. You saw real estate agents helping, their lending partners or their insurance partners or their title partners. So the community coming together, I mean, it's been pretty impressive.
It's really cool. We have a colleague in Madras, Marty. I'll give him a shout out, but he's someone where that community is very small, but clients will call him at 2 a.m.
Madras Marty.
And he will be out, and he will leave his house at 2 a.m. to go help out the best he can. And that's what he's known for. So it's crazy it's awesome to see when stuff like this happens, because it's very sad, but it's awesome to see people go above and beyond for their clients and just for their community in general.
Absolutely.
100%, guys. And just to review what we went over today, number one, communicate with your agent and your insurance company proactively. It's absolutely never too early to start that process of filing for a claim, and getting reimbursement going and understanding what you have, what you're entitled to, right? Number two, we learned from Greg, read that policy.
That's huge.
Know what you're covered.
Know how you're covered.
Knowledge is power. And I know that's a lot of words in that policy. That's many pages, but go through it and become familiar.
Some late night reading material if you just want to catch a couple nods every now and then.
Yeah, take a breather from something else. Number three, advise your local agent. Work with somebody like Tyler, someone that you trust and connect with that could really help you assist choosing a proper policy that covers you. And that's I really connect with Tyler on a service level, because it's forward thinking and doing what's best for you and your family, and likely the largest asset that you have. So you really want to make sure that you're covered and you understand what you're covered for, right, guys?
Yeah. And knowing that, if something happens, just reach out right away. If you don't know and you think you have a claim, reach out, right? Because it's better to reach out than not reach out. And then know that, the insurance company's there, like Greg and Tyler have mentioned, to review everything, and they're going to help you get through that claim. And they're going to have someone come out and help you with it and look at it, because at the end of the day, everybody knows that you've been affected by something, right? And we're trying to help you.
Yeah. I think, Greg, if you want to touch on this, because I've talked about this on the show, but it's nice to have you on here to really elaborate. When I talk to my clients about claims advocacy and how that separates us from a lot of people, I think people are like, okay, well, I've never had a claim before, so I don't really need to, that may not be a big plus for me.
Mm-hmm.
But Greg, please touch on what you do for a company and what your team does for a company, and really kind of how we separate ourselves out from a lot of other people, maybe even independent agents.
Sure. Yeah. It's really kind of a unique role here. I worked, before coming to Payne West, I worked for an insurance company in claims for over 20 years. Now I am, at an agency where I can bring that experience to bear to helping our clients if they have a claim or there's a claim issue. We on our team, we all are in kind of the same place here, but we know how claims work. We know how to speak that dialect of the insurance language, I'll describe it as. We know what the policies say, right? We know how things go. So we can bring that experience and knowledge to help and put on the lens of our client and make sure that, they're getting what the policy says they should be getting, that we're making sure there aren't any issues, we're overcoming issues if any do crop up. We spend a lot of time talking to our carrier partners too, the claims groups at our carrier partners. So, and giving them feedback. So they know who we are, we know who they are, we know where to go, we know who the decision makers are. And, again, we can bring that to helping our clients work through a claim or get the right outcome on a claim. So we keep track of, when we're able to change an outcome, if we get a denial, say overturned, or a carrier says they don't owe a defense, and we can find an argument that persuades them that they do, or find some extra coverage, maybe an adjuster missed. So we've been keeping track of that since 2013. I think we just got up to $14.6 million hard dollars that we've been able to get for our clients. So
wow, what was that number again, Greg?
14.6 million, thereabouts.
A lot of cheese.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's a great example of just the difference of someone who cares and someone that's doing what's best for the clients. It's a fantastic story.
Fantastic story.
What can you give, if you can you tell just a quick story about something that was maybe
story time,
or it wasn't covered, and then we were able to get in there and have that conversation?
Yes, certainly. I think the biggest one that comes to mind that I've been involved in was not a home policy, but it was a construction project. Contractor was building in a irrigation canal systems. They were building some sluices and boxes and things. Anyway, they had framework up and getting ready to, I think it just poured concrete and we're getting ready to pour some more. Big snow melt, a lot of rain, water came in where it shouldn't and just washed everything away.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So that policy, like most, doesn't cover flood or surface water, right? So the insurance company in that case looked at that and said, there isn't going to be any coverage here. There's a definite exclusions. And in this particular policy, it was a commercial policy. Their language said that there was no coverage for those types of things in or on normally dry land.
Or on normally dry land.
Like inundation of water in or on normally dry land. And so I said, well, this is an irrigation canal. They had it empty to do the work, but normally it holds water, and that's what it's designed to do. So, normally it's full of water. So that's a little bit, ambiguous there, guys. And when there's a question about something, then the insurance company should find for the policyholder. They should interpret it in a way to find coverage. Sometimes, what we can do is help them do that. In that case, that's what happened. They got a legal opinion basically that came back and said, yeah, we agree with that. And they provided coverage for that loss. It ended up being, I think, about $360,000 for that contract.
Wow. Way to go to bat though, Greg. I mean, people don't know what they don't know, and if someone's telling you something, I mean, we obviously see it a lot on our side, right? Underwriters and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes we have to push back, and that's why that local person, I hit the mic, is there to support you for you, and go to bat for you. Right. Sometimes, they'll want a 800 something number. You might not get a hold of anybody.
Yeah. We don't just want to be a policy number, right? We want to be a human and have that human.
There you go.
In it, so
yeah. Fantastic, guys. A great subject. And Greg, we know that you guys are completely slammed and very busy. So we just want to extend our thanks once again for taking the time to be on the show today, because just this insight, even if it's impacted and helped one person, one family, one anxious individual, it's a successful day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that everybody is busy. So Greg, again, we really do appreciate you coming on the show and talking to our listeners and viewers about this stuff, because it's no pun intended, it's a hot topic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Happy to. And it's, I'm in this business for a reason too. So, anything we can do to help educate folks, give them more knowledge. Like I say, I think that's one of the most critical things, is just educating yourself so you can make good choices. Because if you don't, you're going to make some choices that are bad that you don't know you made.
Right.
It's a good takeaway.
Great
That's
takeaway.
A huge takeaway. Yeah. Well, thanks again, Greg. We truly do appreciate it, and keep doing what you're doing. And we're here to help. So we appreciate having you around and on the team. So thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah, and as Josh rolls in our exit music here, trying to slowly bring up the energy a little, but not dramatically. Guys, great episode. Yeah. We only have a few more left on season 1, but I want everyone to know we do have that VIP line, and hit us up if you need support, because usually it's mortgage questions. We're always there for that. But say you're local to our market, or you just need someone to talk to, hit us up on that VIP, because you are very important to us. Casey, let's round up that number once again.
That number is
503-847-9038. And the 847 stands for VIP. I like to reiterate that. I'm the only one.
I'm never going to remember. I'm just going to go with the VIP.
And make sure, guys, if this is your first time listening, do not be shy. Hit us with a message so we can get you a part of the MLO community, whether you're listening to us on podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you grab them podcasts. We appreciate it. And once again, everyone, T. Ross, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Greg Beery, thank you for joining us today.
Greg.
Casey, stand up. Say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Friday from the MLO.
My main man, see you guys today.
Have a great weekend, guys.
And once again, you have been listening to MLO. My name is Addie Net, and we truly do appreciate you. And until next time, we will catch you later. Peace.